What would your life be like if you had never seen your own face? Not once. Not in a bathroom mirror. Not in a car window. Not in a selfie. Imagine waking up every day knowing exactly how everyone else looks. Except you. You could recognize your friends instantly, but your own face would remain a mystery. Would you still feel like the same person? Or would something important be missing? Now imagine a world where mirrors never existed. No shiny glass. No reflections staring back at you. For most of human history, people rarely saw themselves clearly. A calm lake might give you a blurry image. A polished piece of metal could show a rough outline. But a perfect reflection? That simply didn't exist. In this world, the face you carry every day would be the one thing you could never truly know. So how would people learn what they look like? They would rely on others. A parent might tell a child, "You have your mother's eyes." A friend might say, "Your smile is unforgettable." Everything you believed about your appearance would come from descriptions. But here's the strange part. Would those descriptions even be accurate? What if people saw you differently than you imagined? What picture would form inside your mind? Think about the first time someone draws your portrait. You stare at it, wondering, "Is that really me?" But how could you know? The artist becomes your translator, turning your appearance into something you can understand. Yet every artist sees things differently. One painting makes you look strong. Another makes you look kind. Another makes you look tired. Which version is the truth? And then comes a question that changes everything. If nobody could see themselves, would people care as much about appearance? Right now, millions of people spend hours looking in mirrors every week. We adjust our hair, check our skin, fix tiny flaws that nobody else even notices. But in a world without mirrors, those flaws might never become obsessions in the first place. Beauty standards would still exist, but they might have far less power. You couldn't spend 30 minutes staring at a pimple. You couldn't compare your reflection to someone else's. Instead, you judge yourself through experiences. Are people happy to see you? Do they enjoy being around you? Do they trust you? Suddenly, appearance becomes something felt rather than measured. This leads to an interesting psychological twist. Much of our self-image comes from reflection, literally and mentally. When we see ourselves every day, we build a visual identity. We become attached to it. But without mirrors, identity might grow from personality instead. People might think less about how they look and more about how they act. Imagine introducing yourself not as a face, but as a collection of memories, values, and stories. Relationships could feel different too. Right now, many people worry about how they appear during conversations. They wonder if they look awkward, attractive, confident, or tired. Without mirrors, some of that anxiety might disappear. You wouldn't constantly compare your image to impossible standards. You'd experience yourself mostly through the reactions of others. But there could be a darker side. If you've never seen your face, you might wonder about it constantly. Late at night, you might imagine different versions of yourself. Are your eyes warm or sharp? Is your smile welcoming? Do you look like the person you feel like inside? That mystery could become both fascinating and frustrating. Picture an elderly woman who has lived her entire life without ever seeing herself. She knows her laugh. She knows the sound of her footsteps. She knows the stories she has lived. But her face remains unknown. When she asks her grandchildren what she looks like, they don't describe wrinkles or gray hair. They say she looks comforting, safe, familiar. In that moment, appearance becomes something deeper than features. And maybe that's the biggest surprise of all. In a world without mirrors, people might still know exactly who they are. Not because they've seen their reflection, but because they've experienced their lives. Their identity would come from connection rather than observation. Today, mirrors are everywhere. We carry them in our pockets. We check them dozens of times a day without thinking. They help us understand how we appear to the world. But they also encourage us to judge ourselves constantly. And that leaves us with one final question. Do mirrors truly help us discover who we are? Or have they slowly convinced us that our reflection is more important than the person standing behind it?